Good afternoon at the Real Deal Kitchen here. Today we have a few things going on, and one of them is a really basic and delicious way to keep your feta cheese a little bit more interesting and at the ready for serving if guests drop by, uh, or even if you want to employ it in other recipes. I love to have seasoned feta on hand, especially as the weather is getting warmer. Um, so as my strength is building, we're slowly gonna try to get me to lift the plate here. So we have two slabs here of beautiful French feta, which is my preference in feta. There's Bulgarian feta and Greek feta and French feta. Those are the three basics. Of course, there are many small American producers now also producing feta cheese. But off the top of my head at the moment, I'm not going to name any, but in general, the style of feta that I prefer is French feta. It tends to be a little bit more mild, a little bit less salty, even though I love salt, and creamy. Whereas the other two styles I find a little very tangy and briny, and just not in my wheelhouse of flavors so much. The other thing that's going on that will be going on in the background is my co-conspirator in the kitchen, Albert, my dad, is making a beet hummus, and I say in uh, air quotes because hummus is really, as I've learned, technically refers to chickpeas. So the only thing that is really hummus is something that's made with chickpeas, or the dip that's made with chickpeas. Everything else is really kind of a spread that we uh, tend to use in the same way that we use hummus, but it's made from different things. The one that we're making today is with beets. It's so delicious. The recipe is on my website, but we'll get back to that later. For today, seasoning this beautiful French feta, I use basically a deconstructed Za'atar, which is a very ancient Middle Eastern, Mediterranean spice mixture. And the mixture, at its most basic, consists of sumac, which is a berry that grows on, I believe, somewhat low growing bushes, uh, sesame seeds, some sort of aromatic herb, such as oregano or marjoram or thyme. Today we're using thyme. Typically that would be used more dried, probably as it was picked from the kitchen garden and hung in the windows, and we're using it fresh today. And whenever you're using fresh to dry, you always use a little bit more fresh because the dry has a more concentrated flavor. These measurements here are approximate. This will be posted uh, the down below. But again, I really love for people to just stay present with what's in front of them and to season away as you're feeling called to. Now, the aromatic spice that's traditionally used is cumin, which has been crushed and ground. And I actually just love coriander and lemony flavor. So there's also coriander in what we've crushed here. And so basically all of these could be mixed together and in equal proportions, really, and stored in a jar, an airtight container or a jar. I would say I don't really like to store things like this for more than 4 to 8 weeks. Plus, it's nice to just make them fresh when you're making them, especially if you're using the fresh thyme. Then I wouldn't store it for very long. But I'm just using this in a more deconstructed manner. And so first, what I'm going to do is sprinkle and I'm going to just move the camera down here and see if we can get this. Sprinkle the cumin and coriander seed all over the feta. And again, be as liberal as you like. And then I'll go with the sesame seeds. And then I like to add the color of the sumac, which is a deep, deep red. And sumac has a delicious lemony flavor to it. You can use your hands. Please don't be afraid of using your hands when you're dealing with your food. And then sprinkling the thyme over top. So we have a little picture of that and a picture of my lap. My beloved fiance, who's a filmmaker, will be laughing at all this framing that I'm doing here today. But once this feta is seasoned like this, you really can keep it for refrigerated clearly for 4 to 6 weeks. It's so delicious like this. I think my dad may have a question on the beet hummus here. About a tablespoon
Coriander.
of the coriander powder. We're using coriander powder. You'll notice if you're watching much of anything of the Real Deal Kitchen or read my recipes much at all, that coriander's abundant in my food. A tablespoon. Yes, yeah.
After I zest the orange, do you want that squeezed?
Yes, and then we'll use the juice from the orange as well. So that's for the beet hummus, not to confuse you. So on this seasoned feta, we have a deconstructed za'atar, which is a Middle Eastern Mediterranean spice mixture that at its most basic consists of sumac, some sort of aromatic herb like oregano or thyme, traditionally used dry, crushed cumin seed. I also like to add coriander seed, which we did add today, and sesame seeds. And so I sprinkle them all on separately. It's just probably also a presentation element that I like, but you could certainly mix all of those things together, store them, and then just add them to your feta when you want. But that mixture also goes a long way to seasoning things like chicken, grilled vegetables, all manner of things. If you want to make a savory yogurt sauce, that would also be delicious in there. So that's a really basic thought and thing I'd like to leave for you for your spring, upcoming summer pantry. And
So is it a teaspoon or tablespoon of salt?
A teaspoon of salt to start. And we're going to get my co-conspirator Albert going on the beet hummus. That recipe is actually already posted on bonerootherb.com on the blog, Beet and Unusual Hummus. That's where you'll find that. And that's going to be eaten up this weekend. Thank you for joining us this afternoon in the Real Deal Kitchen for our food segment, and we will be looking forward to speaking with you again and seeing you again soon. Take care. Good afternoon.